Well, it's time for another podcast. I have somebody set up on this one. What I mean by set up is I've already talked to them about doing this and they agreed to it. Time constraints made this happen because normally I like to do these at random. I try that, kind of a fail. But I have a very special guest tonight, and this guest is somebody that you all know very, very well, some of you better than others. Anyway, he's waiting my call. I can 100% guarantee you this was not scripted. I promise you that much. It's definitely not scripted. These have become somewhat of a reputable podcast because they are not scripted. The people that have done them will tell you that themselves. Say whatever you want, but it is honesty. It's man to man or man to woman, whatever the case may be. Sometimes it's a little bit weird. I've talked to two freaks so far, and I'm not going to give those names out. Just kidding. Anyway, let's get to business. I'm going to go ahead and give this guy a call. Yeah. 1, 7, blah, blah. Oop, wrong. Good try. All right, blah, 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 blah. My lawyer told me to do that, by the way. Just kidding. But he did. Not really. Anyways, you'll be surprised at who this is. I know I am. Sort of. I know he's there. He better be there. Hope he didn't pee. How many times can you pee in 5 minutes? Oh, now he's going to make me wait. That's just funny. He's just going to make me wait now. All right. The clock starts now. I got 6:07 my time, and I'm going to try to get this thing wrapped up by 6:35 my time. We're gonna hope that works. By the way, this is what would you like to be called? First of all, it's your choice.
Hey, anything as long as it's not bad.
All right, well, let's go with Robby since everybody knows who Robby is. Robby is Gray Realities, by the way. This is Gray Realities. First off, let me seriously thank you for doing this because it takes a lot of guts. I've said it before. It's the truth. It takes guts to do it. What we are going to do is I'm going to ask Robby some questions, and these questions are going to be for real, and he has no idea what they are. And, you know, Robby has some underground friends as well. I mean that in a good way. And they know this is not scripted either. So, here we go. Let's start it off with saying, what's going on, Robby? What do you got to say?
Well, not much, except for Google Plus is fucking up the world. And it's pretty hard figuring all that mess out. But for the most, you know, we're hanging in there with it, and we're trying to deal with it. But it is a fucking mess.
Yeah, it is a mess. Actually, what I saw today was they put the comments back in our inbox. I think it might be a glitch. I don't know.
Well, when they start doing all that heavy programming, all that shit comes up. A lot of problems come up, a lot of issues, and I guess maybe they got too many people working on the same thing at the same time.
Sounds kind of like it sounds kind of like our community. Go ahead.
Yeah, we are examining each other and changing things as they go, and yeah, there are some heavy issues in there. A lot. What's up?
Well, actually, I got a few questions that are in the back of my mind that I've probably wanted to ask you since 2007 and never have. One of those questions being, honestly, why are you here on YouTube? What is going on with you? Why are you here?
Well, probably here just like everybody else, just kind of like the atmosphere, just hanging out and, you know, checking out bits and people.
People. Have you ever decided that some people are more interesting to you than others as far as drama goes, or are you into drama at all?
Some yeah, some no. I mean, I like to watch and just, you know, check it out and laugh where a good laugh is needed, but for the most part, I've learned to make popcorn because just getting involved is just, it's too edgy. It's too edgy, you know.
What do you mean by edgy, Rob?
Well, you know, you leave a comment here and there, whatever. Even if you give people advice, somebody got to come in and throw a fucking brick at you, you know, whatever. You can like somebody, you can leave a good comment anywhere, and, you know, if somebody doesn't like that person, they're they're going to give you some shit for it. It's always been like that. It's always been second grade here. It just has been. I don't know.
I can't argue with that. If I could, I would, but I can't. Even the time constraints, I would try to, but I simply cannot argue with what you just said. But with that said, our argument, if you want to call it an argument, our drama started back with two people called Tracy and Mike. We'll leave last names out, obviously, and channel names out, but Tracy and Mike are two people that some in this community have heard of, some knew. Is that not where you started from?
Well, actually, I actually started, in the eBay forums. I went in there to get information and just to find out what the hell was going on at eBay with all this, avalanche of changes that came out all of a sudden. And, I was guided over here by, just people talking about YouTube and there's going to be a boycott and so forth. So, I just checked it out and came here and been here ever since.
I can relate to that. That's pretty much my story, to truth be told. The question I have for you now is, and this might be the one that takes the time, I was actually pretty close friends with Robby. I'll get to the question in a second, but I was actually pretty close friends with Robby. We actually talked about girls, women. We talked about women. Don't go getting all crazy with what I just said, you bunch of bottom feeders, you know who you are. But I used to talk to Robby about women. Normal stuff. Kind of stuff you talk to like at a barbecue or something like that. And then we had our outs, just like everybody else has. Nobody's special. Everybody has their outs. The problem that had come from that is that after our outs, we ended up on different sides of the fence, for better or for worse, because of the friends that we had, and nobody's special. Everybody goes through that, as I said. But Robby, today in this community, in this corner of YouTube, I have seen the likes of something I've never seen before. It seems to me that people are now kind of looking past the fact that somebody has a friend that they don't like and they're still communicating with them. Do you think that that could grow into something better, or do you think it's a setup, as they put it?
Well, what do you mean by a friend that you don't like?
All right, I'll give you a better example. Say I'm friends with you, and your friend Craigio, Mr. Smith, I can't stand him. I absolutely can't stand him. He's done nothing but wrong to me. He's harassed me in the real, but you're good friends with him. So why should I talk to you?
Okay, there we go with the second grade situation again. Well, at one point or another, we were probably friends before it all happened, before it all went down. And, the thing about being in this neighborhood, community or whatever, is that, you begin to like the characters. You begin to play into the characters, you kind of like what people do, I used to like the way you used to run away and come back with those darkroom videos and, just ramble off about nothing and come back and basically that was your way of apologizing or whatever, but, it was an in and out thing. And being what it was, I say, everybody would forget everything, and all of a sudden, another brick came flying out of nowhere, and everybody got in on it.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, what you mean by a brick is, sometimes the bricks were a little bit heavier than the normal brick. And back in our day, to clear this up, when we had YouTube wars, or YouTube drama, YouTube fights, whatever you want to call them, we would keep it on YouTube. This guy named Mike, me and him would go at it. But we kept it on YouTube. He didn't attack my family. I didn't attack his family. But we went at it hard, boy. And one of his friends, Tracy, she did some serious editing and really made it fun. But then the brick I think Robby's talking about, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, is people took it off YouTube. Got malicious with it. Attacked families. Used Facebook. Used third-party websites. Did links. Did all kinds of things. Called people pedos. It got real. And that's kind of where it all ended, I think. And is that the brick you're speaking of?
I don't understand why people just can't shut off the computer and bring their stress levels down and come back with a different attitude. But I was a part of that shit, where I got trolled by a certain individual, and I played into it simply because I got tired of this person calling me constantly, and I figured, well, you know what? This person keeps asking me for a picture. Keeps wanting to know what I look like. Well, I told her at one point, hey, I look like Robert De Niro. We have a big resemblance to each other, but whatever. But I kept getting hounded for a picture. I said, well, hey, you know what? Here's a picture. And that picture got trolled within hours. Next day, my PM box is full of all kinds of, oh, here, look at this. And I got Google Skype, and, I got, the whole shit, their backgrounds of their channels, with the front of my place, and my backyard, and all that shit. Like, was that stuff supposed to upset me, or what? I mean, I thought it was really, really third grade. But can anybody pick up a phone and call? I remember when we were on a chase, on a just a common chase. Everybody was just typing all kinds of stupid shit, and I told the Washington Post, I said, hey man, you got a problem? Just give me a call. What the fuck? And I dropped my phone number there, and next thing you know, every motherfucker is stalking the place over here. I mean, what the fuck? I was actually being genuine and friendly, but that's not what it's about on the internet, I guess. It's everybody being malicious and hateful.
That's a good question. I'd like to ask you a question about that statement you just made. I really, really would love to hear your answer, too. What do you mean by hateful? What does that mean to you on YouTube?
Well, being hateful, I don't know, whether they're people, it's like the friend situation. You're friends with so-and-so, and I hate so-and-so, and I don't like them, and it's like, well, hey, what's that got to do with me? Did this guy, did he kill your firstborn? I mean, how much bad did he do to you that it really matters? I mean, come on.
What if he told you, what if he had told you what had happened, and it was so horrific that you chose to ignore it? I'm not saying that you did. This is hypothesis, but if you had chose to ignore it, or if you had chose to try to, make those two people see eye to eye, I mean, what would be your recourse in that?
Well, I kind of tried that. I kind of tried seeing it for what it was, try to see both sides of the story and try to get people, being a peacemaker is, what, I tried that. It doesn't work on the internet. It just doesn't work. But it's
I'll second that.
Let's say, for somebody that does something very malicious to somebody, to be their friend, yeah, I would say that wouldn't be cool, because if that person did something very malicious that's really not acceptable, then, yeah, I would say you would be a douche for being a friend with that person. But on the other hand, if you didn't know, or if you were unaware of a lot of things, and you were friends with this person, it can get complicated. You could avoid this person, and then all of a sudden this person comes to you and says, hey, why haven't you called me? Why haven't you gotten in contact with me? What do you tell them then? I'm avoiding you because you're a douchebag? Is that what you tell them?
That's profound and real. I like that. That's actually a very good point. That's kind of the point that I tried to bring up a long time ago, but as you put it, it's kind of a moot point. Nobody really wants to hear it. And that's the sad part. That's the second grade mentality that you were speaking of. Nobody wants to hear the reality or the common sense of it. They just want to hear the bad part of it. They want to expose the bad part of it. They want the bad part of it to become the conversation. Has been my experience, and it kind of sounds like yours as well, if I'm not mistaken, and I totally agree with it if it is.
Well, when the shit's kind of hitting the fan, around the time you left, the Washington Post calmed down. There wasn't many people left here. they started heavily trolling Cameo. I recall being in one call with them. They pulled me into one call, and I recalled typing to one of these ladies, telling them, in a Skype call, don't bring me in here again. I really don't, care to be here. But, that same message was sent over to the boss man over there. What's his name? The trash can guy.
I never knew him by name.
Well, he came over to me, he started talking some real stupid shit. I was like, what's with this guy? What's his point? So, he told me he was kidding. It's all okay. Don't worry about it. It's all cool and whatnot. And, I left the call. I just left. And a couple days later, I get pulled into another call, and the girls weren't there, but these guys were there. And there was another party there. I don't want to say who it is, but I thought this person was supposedly a good friend and so forth. And I said, hey, you know what? I'm deleting everybody off this Skype list because I don't need this. I seriously don't need this shit. And, this guy was like, well, we're going to do this to this person, we're going to do this to that person, and we're going to do this to you. I said, well, whatever you do goes back to you. And, I hung up and I deleted all of them off of there, and that's when, the harassment calls started coming in. That's when all the shit started happening to me, getting calls and threatening and all that shit. Yeah, I had my fucking share of that bullshit too. But I never left. I never left YouTube. Why should I?
That's funny. That's always been that's always been my mentality as well. Just the idea, the simple idea of somebody harassing me off of YouTube always gave me that much more gumption to stay. I think I've even mentioned that before at some point, that if people were nice on YouTube, I would just make videos of something else. I would have no recourse. I would have nothing to respond to. And
that's what I do. I have another channel that I have music videos. I have all the recordings from our studio, and I've never shared that with anybody. Not even my so-called friends here? Are you kidding?
Right. Really? Really? No, that's a good really, by the way. I gotta change the gear just a little bit, not a lot. But I know that you're doing a radio show. I will keep the name on the down low unless you want to bring it up out of respect. I don't know where you sit with that, but you are doing a radio show with somebody that is on YouTube. My understanding of it is that it's pretty good. The reason I say that is because I've seen it. It's getting no traffic whatsoever, and I think it's meant to be that way. So I can honestly vouch for you. I know that you are trying to do something that is completely content. It has not got anything to do with anybody in this community. And no, I'm not vlogger spooning, obviously, with Robby here. We're keeping this on the real. I know he's doing a radio show with somebody. And it's a good one. It's a good one.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll post a video from one of our channels that we do music videos here with, my daughter has a class, music school. We're all music savvy over here, and we have a studio where I get a bunch of teenagers together, keep them off the street, keep them out of trouble. They come here, they practice, they play music, they have fun with it. We do videos. I work in studios. I work for consoles and concerts and stuff, and I'm involved in the park district over here, and we're just busy. It's not. A lot of people think that I'm always on YouTube and always hanging out. That's not true. I
understand. I don't. I have to make sure that we get back to what I asked you. I love what you said because I didn't know that. But the radio show that you are doing with this person on YouTube, they do make videos public from time to time, this person.
Yeah, well, no, this person on YouTube, I mean, they're just a part of that station over there. You know, I come in on a few hours here and then, and again, you know.
Do you want to give do you want to give that person a plug, or would you just assume keep that anonymous?
No, not there. I mean, we don't really need the plug. I mean...
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
The views. You know, they got the views. It's really not...
that's fine.
It's not views or anything like that. But,
okay.
You know where it's at. You're welcome to show up and either sign in or just, you know, sign in as a guest. And, you know, before you, I'll give you could type in a coat of arms word. So I know it's you. You know, and I'll tell you what word to type in, and I'll know it's you.
All right, you can throw that in the PM. You can throw that in the PM box. Yeah. All right. So let's get back to one thing before we wrap this up here. I'm trying to make sure that I'm keeping this thing on the time frame so that I don't have to use the other camera, and we all know we don't want that to happen. But I got to be honest with you. This is the question that's on a lot of people's minds, so I think I need to ask it. I'll be honest with you, I want to ask it. Everybody knows that I'm friends with Shay, and everybody knows that you're friends with Cameo. There's no secret there. I'm not letting the cat out of the bag by any stretch of the imagination. Now, with that said, is there in your mind going to be animosity over the fact that you and I are having what appears to be, because it's real, a friendly, mature conversation between the two of us, knowing full good and well behind the scenes, it's not so friendly between those two?
Honestly, Todd, James.
Yes.
Well, you know, the truth is that, you know, I've always, how would you, I want to put this mildly and nicely as I can.
Any way that suits you.
I have always found Shay to be very strong-minded and very forward. But, you know, however, she fell into a little trap, and, you know, she got tangled up a little bit. But everybody has their own agenda here, and everybody has to find their own way. You know, on the other hand, you know, Cameo, I mean, we're okay, but on the truth, we rarely speak. And for the past few months, we've actually almost come to arms.
I was going to say, I did speak to you last night, I believe it was, or the night before, I can't remember which. And you did say that you speak to her on a daily basis. If I understood that incorrectly, now is the time to correct me.
We used to speak on a daily basis.
Fair enough.
For the simple fact that, you know, I always wondered, you know, who used to bother me in the past. I mean, I don't bother anybody here. I mean, I know I had somebody over on the other side over there at the Capitol bothering me, but, you know, I don't care.
He seems to be a very dormant subject at the last few weeks. I'm not sure what's going on there, but that's not what this call is about. But I hear you.
In fact, I think that's totally dormant right now.
Yeah, it's totally dormant right now, and that actually is the part that bothers me about that situation. But that's someday, hopefully, I can talk to him in a podcast, and we can find out what's actually going on there. But this is about you, man.
The bottom line being that, you know, I got betrayed by Cameo. I never thought she'd do that, but, you know, I wasn't a bit surprised because, you know, from what I've heard, you know, and being thrown under the bus a couple of times by her, you know, it didn't surprise me one bit that she got a hold of a very good friend of mine. In fact, we've already met in Rio, and we've already, you know, my wife and I and this person and her spouse had already had dinner, and we've already chatted, and, you know, we're pretty cool together. We're all right. But she brought that person into a car, and she spoke for a good half hour with this person about all the bad things that I have done here.
I think I've heard that. Actually, I think I've heard something about that. That's pretty. That must be a.
I was kind of wondering what were all the bad things that I've done here.
I think that you fall along the lines of one of those people that has been accused of doing a lot of bad things here, and the shoe fit at that time. I've got the same problem. Trust me. A lot of us have that problem, actually.
And I do remember Shay making a comment against you in a video, which I thought...
A comment? A?
These ladies are great actors. I mean, they're great actors. And all that, personally, this wasn't acting. This was actually real. And I don't understand why, because, I was there for Cameo, and I'm not looking for any, pat on the back or anything like that. But, I put up with a lot, man. I put up with, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning phone calls and trying to help her out to get over her grief. And, lately, the last few months, finally, she's telling me, oh, well, I'm not looking at any of that stuff. And I told her, that's great. Just don't. If you don't go there, you don't know, make some popcorn, you're going to be just fine. Just forget about all the bullshit.
I like it. Leave it right there with that. That's the best way to sum that up, Robby. It really is. That is the best way to sum that up. You can elaborate. I know you want to. But that is the easiest. That's the easiest way to understand it with what you just said right there. That's actually how your conversation started. This podcast started off with you saying that very thing. That's why I believe that you're saying what you mean. Now, I want to make sure that we can cut this thing down and make sure that this thing hits right in the time frame too, which is a real pickle for me. I need you in just like less than a minute, if you can, or maybe more than a minute, but not much. State your piece, man. Just state your piece.
Okay, here's my piece. In a call that Cameo Collections made to this individual, she ranted for, 15, 20 minutes, a half an hour about all the shit I've done and how bad I've been and how much of somebody I am not. And, it was very upsetting to this person. But then, this person removed her from her Skype, removed her from her Ugo, and basically never mentioned anything to me. And then one day I said, well, hey, Cameo's on, let me bring her in to talk. She said, oh, no, I don't want to ever talk to her again. And she hung up, and I said, well, what's wrong? And then she finally told me, hey, she said this and this and that. And I said, well, wow, that's a shock, but really not really, too surprising, because we've all pretty much known that Cameo does that. But then I said, well, you know what? I'm going to confront her with it. And if she admits it, I'll forgive her and I'll say, hey, it's all cool. Just don't do it again. Well, she called my friend a liar. She said my friend was lying. She would never do that to me. I was her true friend. And I said, well, I never thought that she would, lie to me about something like that. But you're right, Cameo.
Pick up where you left off and let's kill it. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know what happened, but apparently my battery's still good, and the car still has memory left in it, which is surprising to me because the damn thing cut off. But you didn't miss anything, I promise. Robby, you want to...
It all brings me to a wonder of why, a certain other individual there is upset at me over whatever. I don't know, but, Cameo, when you hear this podcast, I personally don't have anything against you, but you seriously have to stop, the fucking pity wagon and the bullshit of this, always trying to bring people in the middle of shit. I just don't understand why you do that. I mean, people do want to be your friend, but you do give people second thoughts and, big doubts. California in February, and I was kind of thinking of stopping over there and giving her a surprise and just, saying hello and stuff. But that's seriously off my agenda. I'm not going to do that anymore.
Well, Robby, I'm glad you brought that up. You beat me to my next question is what you did, but I'm going to have to elaborate on that for just a second.
But I don't hold anything against anybody here. I still care for Cameo, and she wants to continue talking to me and so forth. I just want her to learn a lesson about friends. That when you have a good friend, you nurse it, you keep it, you take care of it. You don't beat it up and throw it around like a rag doll, and then expect it to be there when you.
All right, I understand that. I'm going to elaborate on what he's saying here, just so everybody understands what he's saying. I do, and some of you won't, so I'm going to clear it up. These podcasts are supposed to be about the person I'm speaking to, all right? But I am going to clear something. I don't like to throw myself into these calls very much. There was a time when I had supported Cameo the way that Robby's talking about supporting her as well. And it had to do with a family member. That it's a sore subject is it's not relevant to me that it's a sore subject. We all have subjects here on YouTube that are sore to us. That's just a part of being here. You can't cry about it. If you want to cry about it, the best thing to do is leave YouTube, close your channels, and never look back. But some people don't do that. So when other people bring up things that bother other people, and they cry about it, as I'm going to call it, they get a lot of sympathy for it. And I did do a lot for Cameo. I'm not afraid to say it. I did do a lot for her, and I was never, ever actually in the spotlight as being the good guy. I was always in the spotlight as being the bad guy, ever since.
Can I get the word in there?
Absolutely.
She always wondered why you continue to bring up her child in your blog. She's always said that she never liked that. She always hated that. And in a way, I could say, I can relate to her on that because her child is not on YouTube. Her child got brought in and thrown under the bus. But nonetheless, I mean...
Is this coming from the same woman that tells us 3 times a week that we shouldn't let people troll us, that we shouldn't bring family into it? And this is the same person that the 3rd day after the first 2 videos, she always says that her family's been attacked.
Pretty much. That's the one. That's the lady.
I was just checking. I didn't set Robby up for that. He has no idea where I'm going. None. I was just asking him a question because I've been asked that before. You're not the first one. Somehow or another, this podcast has turned over to me for 2 seconds because I'm about to let that go. Not with Robby, but the point is this. I've been asked that before. Why do I keep on bringing up her daughter? Sorry, guys. Either I don't see it the way that you do, or you're seeing it the way I do, and you're not speaking. I didn't bring up her daughter. I merely brought up the fact that her daughter was brought up. She got upset. She blogged about it. And I, for whatever reason, was never in the spotlight for being the good guy. It was always the bad guy. Ever since the day that I defended what she says now today never happened. Never understood that one myself. Apparently me and Cameo need to have a podcast. I wonder if she'd be up to the truth.
I have an answer for that.
Okay.
That all started happening when you started collaborating with Shay.
Shay and I collaborated about a month ago. Are you talking about the 1.5 years before this with the TCC when she was doing it? When I wasn't collaborating with Shay?
No. It was, when you started, when you got close to Shay, in the beginning there with, when Shay was doing the makeup and all that, and came in and you guys became buddy pals and so forth. Well,
Yeah, but that was before.
She's always used me, not Shay, Cameo has always used me like a little crutch to vent her little, whatever she has to say about somebody. And in the end, I just went under the bus. But, in those calls, I used to get a lot of little messages and a lot of little...
I think we derailed to be honest with you. And I should have caught that because I think we derailed. You were talking about Shay and I collaborating, and that's why Cameo got upset. That's
Yeah, well, see, I'm trying to bring it to that. See,
that could take a long time. Is there any way to do like a cliff note to it? Because that's a lot. That's about 3 or 4 years in the making there.
When you and Cameo were pretty good together, and then Shay came into the picture, that's pretty much when Cameo started getting upset at the situation. Whether it was because of you or because you weren't just giving her the attention she probably craved at the time. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but for the most, I think it was. I was pretty much there for her to talk to her and stuff, but she basically wasn't having it. She wanted your attention.
I'm not really sure what to do with that one, to be honest with you, because once again, it's going back to a situation with me and Cameo, which is really hard for me to talk about without talking to Cameo. I love where you're going with this, though, because this is extremely interesting, and I'm not just saying that. But it's kind of hard for me to talk about Cameo at this level without Cameo feedback. And that's not going to happen in this call. I wish it would, because actually now I kind of wish it was a third call involved, a third caller at this point, because you really actually touched on something here that I wasn't ready for. You caught me off guard, and I thank God for it, because there's a lot here I didn't know. That's what these are for. There's a lot I didn't know.
Well, the thing is, that's the wonderful thing about Skype, too, that, you can always go back and look at all your history.
I do, and I see comments and stuff that even go back as far as 2 years. That really surprised me, to be honest. I'm not going to get into them right now, but they do surprise me.
Good reference back. I'm not saying to expose that and put it on the screen or put it on YouTube, but, you can review it on your own and then basically, bring yourself up to par with it. But, my point is here, I'm kind of like struggling to look for words here. I don't want to hurt this woman, and I don't, I know that she's,
You might want to just say that you two are in a different place right now. That might be the best way to sum it up for the night. You're just in a different place right now. The two of you.
Basically, she really surprised me that she would, say one thing and basically mean another, when I heard from a very good friend of mine that she really, gave me the knife in the back, you might say.
All right. I'm going to do you a favor, Rob. First, I'm going to thank you for being as honest as you have, and I mean that. Second, I want to say I'm going to stop you right there, because I don't want you to go any further than that, because this was not about you and anybody else. It was about you. But you really did pull this off in spades, and I mean that. Just unbelievably cool of you to do it. I want to give a cheers to you, Rob. I'm going to do it right now in front of the camera. I'm going to drink this back with a little bit of Miller, the beer that everybody hates, but I like. And say it again. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you doing this. There's always a chance to do it again, and I hope we have that. But I got to say, Rob, your honesty in this call will never be forgotten from this man right here. The rest of you can do what you want with it, but I will never, ever, ever script one of these things. I knew I was going to call it, man. Look what he came up with. Obviously, he's got a lot on his mind, and he's shared it with everybody. You got to give him kudos for that.
Can I just say one more thing?
Absolutely.
Cameo, I'm not mad at you. But don't be a bitch with me.
Whoa.
Always been your friend, always been here to hold your hand whenever you felt bad. And, that really hurt. What you did to Chris, what you told her about me, very unfair of you to do that. Really, very unfair.
This does not sound like a vlogger to me, folks. This sounds like a man that actually, in the real, is a little heartbroken over a friendship. That's what I'm hearing. That's just what I'm hearing.
I'm not heartbroken. I'm disappointed.
Fair enough. Disappointed. Okay.
Because, for the most part, you always try to, you say, well, let me see this person's point of view. Let me see this person's point of view. But I never see it. I never see it. I just keep seeing a distance and a distance and a distance. And, of course, I notice that the only time I ever get a call, the time I ever get anything is when I'm needed. And that's it. Otherwise, I don't get a hello. I don't get anything.
And that does suck. We're going to wrap this up, and I'll tell you why that sucks before I wrap it up. I have a friend here on the internet, this place we call YouTube, and it's Shay. And Shay has actually never done that. I'm not comparing. Don't you go thinking I'm comparing, because I'm not. I'm relating to what the man is saying. I'm relating. I've been thrown under the bus once. It's when you have to say that I've already been thrown under the bus twice. I'm not going to be thrown under the third time. I've been thrown under the bus once, and I think you should allow friends to do that. But I hear from more than just Robby that a lot of us have been thrown under the bus 4 or 5, 6, 7 times. It sounds to me like a friendship that's struggling, but that's just my opinion. I don't know this man's life. I don't know what he goes through with this cameo. None of my business, but he shared what he wanted to share, and I'm glad that he did, because I hope that sheds some light on your friendships out there, your relationships out there, and maybe gives you a little heads up on how to treat those friendships in the days to come. Robby's a wise man. Fuck YouTube. Fuck Google Plus. You got people like this right here on YouTube. They're all over the place. But here's one right here. Controversial as it may seem, I respect Robby to no end. I've had conversations with him off of YouTube, in the real, and they've always been well received on both ends. He's a nice man. And thank you again, Robby, for doing this with me. I wish you a great weekend. I'm going to cut this down, and I'd like to say good night.
One more favor. I mentioned one lady's name there that I would appreciate if you dubbed it out.
Who's that? Well, that's not going to work because it's on camera.
Well, you could work the audio. Don't you know how to work software?
You're gonna have to send that to me in a PM though, okay?
Yeah, no problem.
All right, send it to me in a PM. I promise this won't go up until I fix or correct the problem or the issue that you want fixed. I respect the people I talk to as well. No problem. You got it.
All right.
You got my word on it. Send me a PM. Let me know who it is.
All right.
Good night, Rob.
Peace out.
Well, there you have it, folks. What we have here is another person that was willing to come up in here and just speak their mind and keep it real, and that's what these podcasts are all about. I've had my past with this man. There's no question. Do I really know what he's done every single step of the way here on YouTube? Nope. I never will. I'll never ask him either. What I will do, however, is go by what he tells me today. In the real. If you guys or anybody that you know wants to make that out to be something negative, that's going to be on you. Thanks for watching. Torpa.